Come on up, Rodney.
I live at 7027 Whitmere Road, which is right next to the new development or the field, open field at, alongside my property. My ditch was dug out probably about 3-4 years ago. And when they dug it, they made it deeper in the center, or in my property, and higher at where it's supposed to drain to the road. I was just out there today because it's just standing water there. I tried to rake all the stuff out of the way to get that water, but it really needs an excavator in there to drain that water out to the street. And I was wondering if something can be done about that.
Okay, Rodney, we've got our highway superintendent here. Is this a town drainage way, or is this a private?
It's the town owns the property next door. It's the open field of all the development. You just sold all that property.
Across from the development?
Right. I live right next to the development.
Okay. Okay.
It would be the north. I live on the south side, yes.
Okay. Okay, and I think we talked about it in the past. Any comments, Paul?
Part of the issue is when we did dig that out 3 years ago, there was a huge root in your one tree that's in that ditch. They dug it down as deep as they could. They didn't want to tear the root out, but they're probably going to kill your tree.
Trees are gone.
Oh, the trees are all gone?
Yes.
Okay.
I cut them all down.
Well, when we start doing that ditch to the house, we'll go on there and we dig it again.
Okay.
Well, right now I probably have about, I'd say 100 yards, about halfway in my yard. It's 2 feet deep back there. It won't drain to the street. That's my whole issue. It's just stuck right there. And so my backyard's so wet, I can't even cut the lawn.
Paulie, is there a chance that when it dries up a little bit, we can get a mini excavator to open up that spot?
At least like from halfway before the woods out, it would be great. Or even just by my house out, because it's just sitting there.
Yeah. All right, why don't you give Paul a call tomorrow? And, you know, weather permitting, we get maybe a small excavator in there and just clean that section out.
That would be ideal.
Okay?
Yes, that'd be nice.
And I'm sure Paul will take care of it for you.
And the other thing is, the people, I was cutting my lawn all day today, or in the morning, in the afternoon. They're running that stop sign at 40 miles an hour. Can we put a sign up that, you know, that warns people there's a stop sign there?
Sure. Yeah, we can. If you see Roger when you're done, I'm sure he'll put the stop sign over there. And if, just so you know, we had the sheriff department over there, this goes back several weeks ago, and they issued 31 tickets at that stop sign.
Oh, I believe it.
And would you believe the majority of them were Wheatfield residents?
I believe it.
Your neighbors.
Yeah.
I gotta stop at that.
But I will do this.
Sometimes if you're not paying real good attention, you'll drive right through it because the sign, it needs maybe some fluorescent on the pole. It needs something to make people aware that it is a stop sign.
All right, we'll check it out. But
okay.
I will call the sheriff department again, too, and ask them to sit again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, they were sitting at the house across the street from me, but that house sold.
Okay.
So now they don't have a driveway to sit in.
Maybe they could sit in yours.
Yeah, they could.
Okay.
I don't care.
All right, Rodney, I'll tell them that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see, Debbie? Hi, Debbie.
I just have a question about the motion. You might go over it later anyhow, but I just wanted to know the motion about the town assessor being shared with Pendleton.
Yes.
How long is that contract for? Like, is this a forever, or?
Well, no. What we did, we came up with an agreement with the town of Pendleton. First of all, let me go back. As you know, our assessor retired.
Right.
And Bridget came to us after we met with her discussing the budget, and unless something earth-shaking happens in the town, she felt the jobs could be done part-time. So I met with a supervisor from Pendleton, and he had agreed and made an agreement with his assessor to work part-time in Wheatfield. Until we make sure everything works out, we're just doing a 1-year contract with a possibility of extension.
All right.
Okay.
And also, do we know if we plan to reassess anytime soon? Or is that?
As of now, there is no plan for reevaluation.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you, Debbie. I guess that's it, huh? For the record, Gil Doucette and Larry Hellberg are not present tonight. All other members are. Approval of the minutes from October 7th, please.
So move.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Approval of the minutes. Bill payment, October 21st, excuse me, 2019, Voucher number 201-91898 through 201-91978 with a total amount of $393,240.43.
So moved.
Second. A motion and second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Paul, our highway department.
I have nothing besides to move for
Okay. Richie?
Yeah, at present, we're just finishing up all the landscaping from the summer, so if anybody has any issues, please give us a call. We've got a couple over on Tawny Drive that we're not fixing yet because, with that proposal we're putting into the sewer district, we might have to get back in the front yards, do some more work. Other than that, we're out, starting to pump the hydrants out for winter, so if anybody sees people using hydrants, please let me know so we can check on them and make sure they're dry for the winter. That's it.
Anybody have anything for Rich? Thank you, Richie. I usually skip. Mike Rinaldi, please. I won't do it to you tonight, Mike.
Reminder, Halloween party this weekend, Saturday, 6 p.m. over at the youth center. And the second thing I have is our next senior dance, Saturday evening, November 2nd, 4 p.m. over at the community center.
When was that senior dance again? I'm sorry.
November 2nd. That is it for me this evening.
That's it,
What
Mike?
time is the Halloween party, Saturday?
6 o'clock, 6 to 8.
I think last year when they had the senior dance, I called Arlene and I said, would you mind if I go hunting? I know her husband, Don, was an avid hunter, and I got an excuse to go. So. Okay. Mike Clark? I have no report, Mike. Thanks, Mike. And I just want you to know we did get your letter today from the downstairs, and we will discuss it and act on it when we have a full board, okay? And the assessor, we do not have an assessor at this time, although the contracts were signed. Constables, Roger. Okay. Seniors, Arlene Manti.
We're going to a volunteer luncheon this Wednesday over at Wheatfield. I was thinking of the hot fudge sundae at,
Okay.
and then Monday, we have to attend a, fall conference in Lockport,
Oh,
which I don't even know where the rest of that is, but looks like it. So that's where we're up to this right now, and then we're still, thank you, by the way, for all those names from recreation.
oh, you got that, huh?
Yeah,
Do you remember those people?
oh, yeah,
Do you?
of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all gone.
Well, yeah. Well, I think I'm the only one left, all right?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Arlene. Tim Zuber, Wendell Engineers.
Thank you. All we have for you this evening is our planning board summary from our October meetings. Our first meeting was October 2nd, and on that agenda was a special use permit renewal for Kendall. The applicant requested renewal of a temporary special use permit to stable 2 horses at 2569 Worrell Street. The planning board inquired with the building department and noted that there have been no complaints from the neighbors. The planning board approved the special use permit renewal with a new expiration date of October 3rd, 2021. The next item was a sketch plan for an RV park and campground by Mr. Shaw. The applicant proposes to construct an RV park and campground at 2609 Niagara Falls Boulevard. That's right next door to Oppenheim Park, where the old driving range, golf driving range was. Excuse me. The project would include 37 RV sites, a pool, a playground, and would use the existing building for offices and restroom facilities. The parcel is zoned commercial and is within the Niagara Falls Boulevard Overlay District. The applicant was informed that per Article 3, Section 200-20.3C5, Campgrounds and RV parks are actually prohibited in the Niagara Falls Boulevard Overlay District, except when in conjunction with a motel or a hotel with a minimum of 50 units. The applicant was advised of other items, general items to be aware of, such as the Sawyer Creek floodway and floodplain, utility availability to the site, and emergency vehicle access. The applicant will either need to revise their plans to include a hotel or motel, or seek variance from the town ZBA. No action was required or taken. The next item was a site plan for the Summit Mall, and it's for reuse of the Sears building. The applicant proposes to repurpose the inside of the existing Sears building at the Summit Mall for sports and recreational use. The applicant actually did not show up that night at the meeting due to a family medical emergency, so no action was taken. So now we're going to move on to the October 16th meeting, and the first item on that agenda was a special use permit / site plan for Upstate Tower Company, LLC, Shawnee South, Buffalo 654. For this project, we've talked about it a couple times in the past. The applicant proposes to remove an existing 145-foot tower located at 7263 Shawnee Road and construct a new 165-foot tower in its place. The new self-supporting tower will include a 50 by 50 fenced stone yard in which the tower and equipment cabinets will be located. The planning board completed a coordinated review under seeker and issued a negative declaration at their August 21st meeting. The project received required variances from the Zoning Board of Appeals for the tower height, fall protection zone, setback from a residence, and number of towers per acre. Public hearing was held on September 4th for the special use permit, and finally the planning board granted the special use permit and approved the site plan with noted conditions. The next item is the Summit Mall Sears building reuse. They actually made it to the meeting this time, and they further elaborated that the interior will be modified to provide batting cages, pickleball courts, indoor hockey, lacrosse, and soccer, and a small concert venue. No exterior improvements are proposed. The planning board verified parking requirements and approved the site plan with noted conditions. The next item is a rezoning request for 3 different SBLs that I'm not going to read for you all, but this is the parcels that are on Niagara Falls Boulevard just south of Demler. The applicant proposes to rezone these from R2, which is residential 2, to C1 commercial. And they are currently in and will remain in the Niagara Falls Boulevard Overlay District. The lots would be combined to accommodate the construction of a 10,000 square foot daycare center. The planning board discussed many aspects of the project that would require further investigation and review prior to formal site plan submittal, including the Sawyer Creek, again, floodway and floodplain, the narrow width of the driveway culvert, and wetlands on the site. The planning board noted that the proposed rezoning is consistent with the recent Niagara Falls Boulevard zoning changes to C1, and it is consistent with the town's master plan. The planning board recommended in favor of the rezoning to the town board, and the town engineer will coordinate the scheduling of a public hearing with the town board. No other action was taken. We actually have a motion in our packet tonight for you to consider to schedule a public hearing for that rezoning. The next item was a sketch plan for what's called Madison Trails. The applicant proposes to rezone approximately 34 acres of land north of Walk Drive and east of Ward Road from Part R2 Residential 2 and Part AR Agricultural Residential to a planned unit development, or PUD. The PUD would provide 91 single-family home lots and associated common area. All roadways and utilities would be public, and a homeowners association would be formed to maintain the common areas. The planning board discussed many aspects of the project that would need to be further investigated by the applicant, including allowable density calculations, utility availability, and the airport potential impact area. No action was required or taken. This applicant was actually in front of the planning board, I want to say back in 2013, with a very similar type of project, was given some things to look into, and hasn't come back to the planning board until now. The last item is a sketch plan for the Niagara County SPCA surgical unit. The applicant proposes to construct a 2,000 square foot plus or minus surgical unit addition to the existing SPCA building at the 2100 Lockport Road location. The expansion would replace an existing trailer in the parking lot that's currently used for small animal surgery and will allow for the treatment of larger animals at the hospital. The planning board discussed items to include and address on their formal site plan, including updates to their topo survey and review of the town's site plan review checklist. No action was required or taken, but we're expecting them to come back in very soon with their site plan for that project. And that is our planning board summary for the meetings in October. Any
Tim,
questions on
I
it?
had a question on this Madison Trails.
Mhm.
I'm assuming it's the same developer that was here before?
Yes, sir.
And one of the issues, if I remember correctly, was there a second means of egress going out towards Walk?
Well, they did, their site plan does show 2 points of egress. One is connecting onto one of the stubs in Walk, and one would be a new entrance out to Ward.
Okay, and they also have to show density as it would be, okay.
Right, that was one of the comments I seem to recall from the 2013, is that
Right.
they just came in with a proposed project with a proposed number of lots. And with both cluster developments and PUDs in the town of Wheatfield, there has to be a base layout that's done.
Right.
And actually for a PUD, it has to be either based on the underlining zoning or R1, whatever
Right.
allows the greater density.
Right.
But in a cluster development, you're not allowed any increase in density. In a PUD, you may be allowed some increase depending on other amenities that are provided. But they just haven't gone that initial step to calculate the base density. I believe it's going to be way less than 91 lots.
Okay, I kind of thought so. Because I know the last time this came in, it was very heavily populated. Was one of the, putting it nicely.
Right, and you know, for a cluster development, doesn't have a density increase. You're going for smaller lots to cluster them in one area to save some important features of other areas. There really isn't anything unique and important on this land. It's all farmland. There's not a mature forest or, you know, a creek or really anything to conserve there, other than the prime agricultural land. It's ag district, but that's part of the land that they want to develop.
Okay,
So.
isn't this kind of premature to set up a public hearing when you haven't even got a sketch plan?
Well, all this was them coming in with a sketch plan.
Okay,
So,
Is there a public hearing being requested?
no,
so you're not requesting a public hearing then?
not for Madison Trails, no.
Okay, good.
The public hearing that we're having you schedule is for the rezoning
Right.
for
Boulevard.
the lots that are on Niagara Falls Boulevard, not this PUD. They may not even go with the PUD after they do these
Okay.
calculations. That was a sketch plan. Go back and sharpen your pencils, do a little bit more investigation on what can actually be done within the PUD or cluster zoning there, and then the planning board can work towards making other recommendation.
So in order for something like this to move forward, we would need to rezone that property to be a PUD.
If
correct?
they wanted to go to a PUD, it's a rezoning to a PUD.
And the reason why they would be requesting that is because they wanna build more houses in a smaller area. Is that accurate?
Yes.
It's partially accurate, but typically when they apply for a PUD, there's sometimes unusual circumstances, green space, ponds, walking trails, things to make it more attractive. We haven't seen a lot of that.
Well, and a lot of times with a PUD, you know, it's a planned unit development. They're trying to mix in other uses, like commercial uses.
Right.
The rezoning the PUD over at the Woodlands Corporate Center expansion, that has commercial that's up in the front towards
Right.
Shawnee Road, and has the patio homes in the back. Even Wild Wing, I think, has the corners on either side that are zoned commercial to be part of that planned unit development kind of theme.
Well, we'll see where it goes, huh?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, Tim.
All right, you're welcome.
Okay, motions. Matt Brooks?
First motion is, as Tim mentioned from Wendell, to schedule a public hearing on Monday, be determined at a time to be determined for the potential rezoning of 3 parcels along Niagara Falls Boulevard, SBL numbers 176.12-4-17, lot number 18 and lot number 19, from residential R2 to commercial C1. The parcels are currently in and will remain within the Niagara Falls Boulevard Overlay District 02. So we have to pick a date, which I would suggest either the 4th or the 18th of November at a time.
Let's go with the 18th, okay? We've got some things to discuss on the 4th, some things to do.
All right, I'll make a motion to schedule this for the 18th at 6:45 PM. Is that
Sounds
okay,
good,
or you
yeah.
want 7?
Either one, whatever you want. Either one.
6:45.
Okay.
I'll second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. November 18th at 6:45.
Next motion from the Recreation Department to hire Nathan Golden as a lifeguard for the lifeguard program at Niagara Wheatfield High School beginning January 2020 at a rate of pay and job terms pursuant to the job specifications for the rec department, subject to human resource approval and a Niagara County criminal background check.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion and second, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Next motion again from the Recreation Department to convert Charles Clark, Grace Friezak, Lindsay Kankar, Kelsey Lachowski from temporary rec aides to permanent part-time rec aides at a rate of pay and job term pursuant to the job specs from the rec department, subject to human resource department approval.
So moved.
Second. Motion and second, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, motion carried.
Next motion, whereas the town board wishes to assess the advisability of submitting a community development block grant application to the New York State Office of Community Renewal for a grant to support the development of a restaurant with on-site brewing operations located at 2469 Niagara Road in the town of Wheatfield. And whereas the town is required to hold a public hearing to provide information to the public and to consider citizen comments regarding community needs and the plan proposal prior to submitting an application for CDBG funding. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby calls for a public hearing whereat all interested parties shall be heard regarding the CDBG program, the town's community development and economic development programs, and the proposed funding application. Such public hearing to be held at the Wheatfield Town Hall, 2800 Church Road, North Tonawanda, New York, 14120, at a time to be determined on November 4th, 2019.
Moved.
We wanted to do this on November 4th, correct? There was timing was important.
Timing, if, it would have to be on the 4th, such that it would, if the board decides to move forward with it, they need to do it by the 4th.
Okay. Kathy, do we have anything else on the 4th coming up? Okay. Okay, the budget's at what time? We haven't set that yet? Okay. Let's make, at 7 o'clock, if that's okay with you, Jensen? We'll do the budget at 6:45. I'll make the motion.
Second.
A motion and second, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Next motion, to approve and authorize the town supervisor, Don McSwan, to enter into a shared services agreement with the town of Pendleton to utilize assessing services of the town of Pendleton, town assessor Kelly Kaufman, as assessor for the town of Wheatfield. Said agreement is effective January 1st, 2020, and shall continue pursuant to its terms or until its earlier termination.
I'll make a motion with the comment. We did interview, I think it was 4 or 5 people.
Yeah.
And the reason she can be part-time is because she's very qualified. So, I'll make that motion.
Okay. Second. Motion and second, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. And I will notify her, and all of the people that we did interview were qualified. But this works out well that she is the assessor for the town of Pendleton also.
Next motion is to schedule a public hearing on November 4th, 2019 at 6:45 p.m. on the 2020 preliminary budget.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Next motion to approve the bid of $17,200 received from Tree Care of New York for the removal of trees from town roads rights of ways. The bid was the lower of the 2 responses received by the town.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Next motion from the Highway Department to hire Justin Dworzanski for permanent part-time work at the Highway Department not to exceed 20 hours per week for a limited period of time to be determined at a rate of pay and job term pursuant to the specifications for the Highway Department, subject to Human Resource Department approval and a Niagara County criminal background check.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carried.
Next motion from the Budget Director to approve changes to the 2020 tentative budget for the general fund, decreasing the total budget appropriations by $8,936 and estimated revenues by $8,936 for various accounts as set forth in the schedule before you as contained in the motion package.
So moved.
Second, motion and a second, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
And that's no further motions, that's it.
Thank you, Matt. Council members. Kurt Doctor.
Just a question. I noticed that a section of Niagara Falls Boulevard was being torn up again. I'm not sure if we had heard the reason for that, because I think it was...
To my understanding, and Paul, but I think that the mix on the original paving was incorrect and didn't meet state standards. Is that correct, Paul?
Yeah, they used the wrong blacktop. I don't know
Yeah.
if it was the quarry's fault or the
Yeah.
contractor's fault, but Shane had to rip it back up again.
Yeah.
I don't know if we had that much blacktop laid down on the road.
Yeah, I
The
guess.
the quarry ate that.
I think it was the quarry that might have been the mistake.
Yeah. And our winter roads will probably do a job on it anyway, so.
Yeah.
They
What
do all those cores, and they put it in a lab, and they do a bunch of testing, and there wasn't enough or
Didn't
too
meet
much
spec.
asphalt content in it.
Yeah.
That's how it went.
Yeah,
Big mistake.
yeah, a big mistake for sure. Anything else, Kurt?
That's it.
Randy?
One thing, and back to the first comment on Whitmer Road, Tim, very early on in that, you talked about drainage, so you're certainly aware of that, and I think when we approve these houses, be aware of the fact that we have a little bit of a problem there, and I'm sure you will. But, whatever the drainage problem is that he presented to us,
It's where the deepest water is where the lots are gonna end. That right back there, it was dug deep, but when it got to the road, it went up, and he just told me because of the roots. Well, I have all 4 trees cut down in that area, so there are no more trees. I'm taking them all to the woods and getting rid of it. But, my backyard's so wet because it won't drain out. It just stands there, so. That's why, if he can get a mini excavator in there and just do from like mid-yard out would be great. Or even the one area, just so the water will drain. But I don't know what's gonna happen if you build that land up over there, what's gonna happen to my land?
There is a drainage plan that does take care of that, and I think you'll see when that's done, that the water will drain out to the road.
I sure hope
And
so.
I've seen the drawings with you, when they were originally submitted, so hopefully you'll have no problems when that goes in. And in the meantime, Paul will take care of your side yard, okay?
I'll give him a call.
Okay, the only thing I have tonight is, and I got a few calls today that, we know there's a concert at the Sears, grand opening concert at the Sears store. The town of Wheatfield is not providing security. I don't know where they came from, but, our constables have no involvement with security at the concert. Other than that, I have nothing. Our next...
Dave.
I'm sorry? Oh, Dave Godfrey. Do you know Dave? Dave Godfrey, Niagara County Legislature. I didn't know you were going to come tonight, David, but our Purple Heart signs are here, thanks to Paul, and I'll have to show them to you. Dave, you want to tell us a little bit about your Purple Heart campaign? And
Well, thanks for getting that up. That happens to be the first Purple Heart sign in the county.
Yeah.
There's another one up, but we got the first one right here in Wheatfield. Niagara County, a number of months ago, deemed Niagara County as a Purple Heart County. If you come in, you're a Purple Heart recipient, we got a registry for that. It was a great ceremony they had up the river, at the Veterans Memorial. And in addition to that, to honor all of our Purple Heart recipients, if they come to the courthouse for any reason, the clerk's office or whatever, the parking place, which is now designated currently for the chairman of the legislature, is being changed to Purple Heart recipients only. So, it's another way to honor our Purple Heart recipients.
yeah.
So,
Nice job,
great
David.
honor, and we'll get together and, we'll take a look at that sign.
Sounds good.
Thank you
Matter of
very
fact,
much for bringing that up.
maybe we can get our board members to have a picture taken at the Purple Heart sign as you come into the town of Wheatfield.
The other couple things I have, just a couple hours ago, I just got notice that the governor will be here on Wednesday to announce the result of the Ready Commission, and that is for the Lake Shore repairs, the $300 million that he put out for private property owners, private businesses, and municipalities to help build resiliency and economic growth on our lakeshore after all the devastating flooding. He's gonna be here on Wednesday at 9:30 at Fort Niagara. The invitation I can send to you, send it to Kathy or whatever. Anybody is welcome to attend. Bigger crowd, the better, we like a lot of crowds. So I will send that on to the town board, and come and get a hold of me, I'll send it to you. But you have to RSVP in order to attend. That's at Fort Niagara at 9:30 on Wednesday. The funding, took a long time to get, all of the whole shoreline, to put forth through projects, sifting through those. It's been a couple of months, we all did a good job, and this covers all the 8 counties, all the way up into the St. Lawrence, for all the damage. The bad news, I just found out today from our emergency services, Jonathan Schultz, that even though the water is down 6 inches lower than it was last year, we are still 14 inches higher than we should be in the previous year. So it looks like next year we're going to have even higher water than we had this past year. They said a foot, now we're saying more between 8 to 10. But we'll have to see what the winter and spring is gonna bring to us. The last thing, at the last legislative meeting, you may have seen that we passed a resolution, that requires this particular, resolution to focus on the 900-acre solar farm that's being proposed for Cambria. However, my intent is not only to take this one resolution, but to make this requirement for any company that brings toxic hazardous waste in Niagara County will bond sufficient funds for decommissioning or remediation. Anything they bring in, they pay to take it out front. And that's what the bond says. You bring it in, and this was targeted at Cypress Creek specifically. You handle it highly toxic. The only place they can be disposed of is in Alabama. The other landfills in Michigan aren't taking any more. So we're going to protect ourselves. We don't need any more hazardous materials in our county, not enough of our own. So the intent is to close the door to any vendor that proposes any type of toxic waste. No matter what the industry, come into this town and going to buy complete remediation of these fisheries for the trucks. Everybody has a question on that. I know I got some phone calls from people who didn't quite understand what it was. So, in addition, it's negotiation time. If you're coming in, you've got to put some money on the table. What do you got?
I just wanted everybody to see this.
Very nice.
Firing up. This will go right by town hall.
Oh, good. So you're going to have a special parking thing. All right, there you go. Get a picture of it.
And, also we're gonna have one of these at the senior center. I think it's nice that the county is done, and the town of Wheatfield is followed through with, it's, all the hard times.
Good. Good thing. Thank you. Okay. Good deal. That was good news. Thank you.
Okay, any other public input on anything we've discussed tonight? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. Motion and second, all in